Recently, I watched a video on a YouTube channel called The Line. It is a discussion between a Christian caller and the hosts of the show, where the hosts objected to the idea that the Christian God sends people to hell for not believing in Jesus. The link is provided in the comment section for your reference. When the host said that somebody who is born on North Sentinel Island will never in their lifetime hear the word of God and will never have the opportunity to hear about Jesus, they pointed out that according to Christianity, such people will go to hell because they do not know Jesus. Then the Christian caller said something very interesting. Listen to what he says at 44 minutes and 37 seconds in the video.
But people don't go to hell because they don't know Jesus. People go to hell because of their sin. So you have to make sure that you have the right understanding of that. Nobody goes to hell because they don't know Jesus. They go to hell because of their sin.
He said, people don't go to hell because they don't know Jesus. People go to hell because of their sin, so you have to make sure that you have the right understanding of that. Nobody goes to hell because they don't know Jesus. They go to hell because of their sin. He is denying that people go to hell because they don't know Jesus. And he argues that people go to hell because they sin. Then the host followed up with this.
If that was the case, you would also be going to hell because you've sinned. If that were the case, every single person would be going to hell.
The host asked him, if that was the case, you would also be going to hell because you have sinned. Everyone would be going to hell. The Christian caller then acknowledged that he is also a sinner.
Exactly. That is the gospel. That's what the gospel teaches. Everybody is guilty. No one is good but God. The Bible tells us that the reason why we die is because we sin. The soul that sins shall die. So yes, in order to find God, you have to first understand that you're guilty. I am guilty. I'm just like you. I'm guilty and I deserve hell. That's what the Bible tells me.
He admits that he is also a sinner and he deserves to go to hell. So far, so good. But then he said something very interesting. Watch this clip.
Now, the way that I get forgiveness is by Jesus taking my punishment.
After admitting that he is also guilty of sin, he then goes on to say that he is forgiven and has escaped hell because of what Jesus did. Now, does that mean everyone is forgiven and has escaped hell? No. The Christian claim is that only those who believe in Jesus will receive this forgiveness and escape hell. So his point is, everyone is a sinner and the only way to escape hell and go to heaven is by believing in Jesus. Now, this is not just his personal opinion. It is the mainstream Christian claim among Christians. See for yourself on the screen examples of what some popular Christian preachers and apologetic ministries say. This is Pat Robertson of CBN, Christian Broadcasting Network. He says, God does not send people to hell because they never heard of Christ. He sends people to hell because they have sinned. This one is from a Christian apologetic website named keepbelieving.com. They say, people don't go to hell simply for rejecting Jesus. People go to hell because they are sinners. People go to hell because they are sinners, not because they are unbelievers. Now, here is where Christianity can be exposed as an absurd and unfair belief system. When they deny that people go to hell for not believing in Jesus, they indirectly admit that there are people dying without knowing Jesus and that sending people to hell for not knowing Jesus is unfair. They admit it. So their initial claim is that lack of faith in Jesus is not what sends people to hell, rather it is the sin people commit that sends them to hell. But when they say that they have escaped hell because they have faith in Jesus, they have just destroyed their own initial claim that it is sin and not lack of faith in Jesus that sends people to hell. If it were truly about sin, then they should also go to hell. So it is clearly not sin but lack of faith in Jesus that sends people to hell. Now imagine this. By their own admission, they have confirmed that it is the lack of faith that sends people to hell. They also admit that people die without hearing about Jesus. They also acknowledge that sending people to hell for not knowing Jesus is unfair. But they cannot say that those who die without knowing Jesus will escape hell, because even this Christian caller in this show at 30 minutes 44 seconds in the video says that people have to hear the gospel.
Stevie, if everybody knows that God exists, then why is belief in the Christian version of the Bible like region locked?
But people have to hear the gospel.
Why should people hear the gospel? Because unless they hear the gospel, they cannot believe in Jesus and escape hell. But they also acknowledge there are people who die without hearing the gospel. There, God is sending people who have never heard about Jesus to hell because they did not believe in Jesus. The Christian apologists who try to rescue their God from this moral problem end up admitting that he is someone who does exactly what they deny he does. So the conclusion is this: the Christian God is an unfair dictator who makes the conditions, makes sure that not everyone can meet those conditions, and then sends those people to hell for not meeting those conditions.